And the African continent is focusing on the implementation of Agenda 2063, which is, in fact, the roadmap to ensure positive socio-economic transformation of the continent. So it's important to know that we are part of a bigger family when we are coming up with these standards. Because the question has always been, are these standards for SARS? Are these SARS standards? That's the question that we are asked often. I want to assure you that the Standards Association of Zimbabwe does not produce standards for SARS. We produce what we call Zimbabwe national standards. In as much as we know that the private standards are there by some are, multinational companies, we welcome those standards. However, these are the standards that we produce through the WTO rules. We comply with the WTO rules. SARS has consolidated its standards councils and is actively participating at all levels to ensure that this happens. So I think, without dwelling too much on what we do, I also wanted to highlight two important standards which may be of interest to you. The first one being the Zimbabwe GAP standard for horticulture. Not much has been said in this forum, unless I missed it. We do have a ZimGAP standard, which is necessary to, if you want to export into the EU, for instance, they expect that we can comply with the EU GAP, global GAP. This is our local GAP standard, which is an equivalent of the EU GAP. We're also coming up with another standard for livestock, which is called also ZimGAP, but for livestock in particular. Maybe also just to highlight that we are cognizant of the challenges that our economy is facing, especially with respect to bureaucracy and corporate governance. So we were part of the National Code on Corporate Governance crafting team with other partners like ZimCode and IODZ. We came up with a national code, which is actually going to become a standard as well. We also do have the ISO 37001 anti-bribery management system and also requirement guidance for use. This is an important standard, which I think you should take note of to take care of these corporate governance ills that we have. Of course, we offer engineering to support industry and our value chains. We provide assurance on safety of consumers in local and global value chains. We also provide NDT testing, inspection of our pressure vessels, and calibration as well. In terms of chemical and food technology, we do have a high performance lab, a chromatography lab, where we can test aflatoxins. As you know, this one can be a potential problem for health and safety. So we do have capacity to test for aflatoxin, for herbicides, for pesticide residue analysis. And recently, government has launched a food fortification program. And so we are also testing for vitamin analysis and establishing a market surveillance program to support government. And as I mentioned before, certification, this allows us to independently audit our companies against standards. And here you can see some of the companies that we've already certified. There are many more, but I just chose a few. There's Zimtrade there, the National Trade Promotion Organization. We do have our energy regulator there as well. Water is an important area. People want confidence in what they are drinking every day. So our capacity is in the area of food safety, environmental management, occupational health and safety, product specific certification. In terms of chemical analysis, we can test in most, I would say almost all sectors of the economy. Of note, fuels. We do have capacity for fuels, for coal, for coke testing, paints, oils, cement, bricks, textiles. All of these industries are represented in this room, and we do have capacity to support you in that regard. We do test for physical and microbiological analysis, as well as providing advisory services. In terms of engineering, We do have mechanical tensile strength tests, bent tests, hardness tests, nick brake tests, name it. NDT, civil engineering tests, electrical inspection, packaging, calibration. All of that is there. Also training programs. Our technology has gone from the screen. Those are the training programs that we have. Major training courses are also being developed under ASO at the continental level in collaboration with the Catholic University to provide a postgraduate diploma in standardization as a new product. So our value chains that we've identified, ladies and gentlemen, are in these areas: agro-processing. As SARS, we are supporting agro-processing as well as pharmaceutical and mineral beneficiation, consumer goods, capital goods, and services. Now, I won't go through all the slides, but here I wanted to highlight to you that I borrowed some slides from SADC, where I've just come back from. And you can see from these slides that Zimbabwe is represented in a number of agro-processing cluster value chains where we can actually support the work of our producers. You get all these slides. So, in conclusion, I want to just end by saying that, ladies and gentlemen, SARS is poised to complement government at world class. You know, the train is not stopping. The competition is with the rest of the world. We need to also support all strategic sectors. I underscore the word, because in as much as we might want to be everything to as Zimbabwe, we know that the information, because the pace is slow. We need to increase the pace. We write very good policy documents.
But is it safe? Does it meet the standards of quality that you deserve? Now think about the shoes on your feet, the soap that you use, and the public from substandard products entering our borders. Visit our website for more information on how Bureau Veritas verification is helping ensure that only the best quality comes in. Bureau Veritas. Move forward with confidence.
All right, thank you for that. It's quite clear on this video clip and global trends that conformity has really become part and parcel of world trade, and the fact that a number of products now require testing and subsequent compliance to certain standards before they can access various markets. And Zimbabwe has done very well, in particularly implementation of the consignment-based conformity assessment program, particularly the CBCA program, which as Bureau Veritas we are working with the Ministry of Industry and Commerce to ensure that the quality of products that are being imported into Zimbabwe are regulated, or at least they meet minimum safety and health requirements for the protection of consumers at large and industry. So the associated benefits for everyone, and I think there are very strong indications as we progress within this continuous improvement program that industry is benefiting from the protection from the influx of substandard products that it virtually rendered Zimbabwean products as at because of the influx of cheap substandard products. So this is creating a environment, a fair economic environment within which local players can participate, because it means it's only products that meet minimum safety specifications as per international standards that are coming into the country. And I think local industry needs to take opportunity of this particular program, because it's a very good pillar for local industry to become innovative. It it's a good pillar to also use for export basis. Because basically, as manufacturing industries or as various value addition players in the local economy, you're also importing products, particularly your raw materials and your inputs, which ultimately feed into your value addition processes and the ultimate quality of the products that you produce to meet local demand and to meet global demand. And it's not a secret now that global trade is increasing, but there is also increasing regulation. For us to be able to penetrate other markets, or for local industry to be able to access new markets within the region and the global at large, they need to ensure that their products go through conformity assessment. They need to ensure that indeed their products meet the regulations that apply to those particular markets. And I think that's very good for the economy of Zimbabwe in the interests of raising the much needed foreign currency that Zimbabwe actually needs. And I think it also feeds into increased capacity utilization, particularly for local industry. Given that the regulation is in place, you can compete fairly, you are able to increase capacity utilization, you can employ more local people, and improve overall efficiency as far as your production processes are concerned. I'll just get to the highlights. So we've been operating in Zimbabwe basically for years now, since 2015, when the CBCA program was initially launched. And we are seeing a lot of changes, particularly as far as the perception of the program is concerned, and as far as appreciation of the requirements are concerned. And I would say to date, at least more than 182 million products, substandard products or dangerous products that were destined for the Zimbabwean market have been rejected by Bureau Veritas. Prior to the implementation of this program, we were facing a situation where conformity was widely ignored, and a lot of products were coming in without any attention being paid to as far as the safety of those particular products. And as I've mentioned, it's a continuous home page of CZI. You're able to get a Bureau Veritas link there, which leads you to a wealth of information as far as market access opportunities are concerned, in the interest of those companies that actually want to tap into regional and global markets. We are live on the Zimtrade website as well, the ZNCC website. But overall, we continue to be open-minded. We've recently opened a liaison office in Zimbabwe, which has been in place for at least 1 year. And if you look at the flyers, there's a couple of flyers for you. On the very last page, we have the contact details for the local office, as well as a very informative website called Verigates Bureau.